There are 168 hours in a week. We go to church for 1 hour. What about the other 167?
Cue this podcast. We're here to bring the church to you the rest of the week. I'm David Vogel, the Director of Communication here at Central Community Church.
I'm Corey Brodel, the Director of Community. We've been to the 1 hour in church. Now welcome to the other 167.
We are here today with a very good friend of both of ours, Rebecca Aitken. She is she works with our online community here at the church, so she's doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work, but she's also a lot of fun just to be around when she's not hiding behind a computer online.
We have jokes here.
Okay, thanks.
And recently, well, I say recently, you've got older daughters. How old are your daughters?
We have a daughter that's 31 and a daughter that's 24.
But they kind of one of them was like living with you for a while, even into adulthood, or just part-time living with you and then moving. But now it is official.
It's official.
That you can call yourself an empty nester.
My husband and I do call ourselves empty nesters. We don't necessarily like the term empty nesters. And I don't know if it's because it's new or 30 years ago, we didn't know what an empty nester was. So it's a new term for us, but yes, we are at home alone.
So what does that mean for you? What can you explain what an empty nester is to you?
Again, like I said, 30 years ago, when our kids were young, when we didn't have kids and we first heard the word, we had no idea what that was. That was so far away. I mean, it's like you guys you don't even think about that. You think about holding your kids right now. You think about how you're going to get them to school, and you haven't even hit the fun part of middle school, boyfriends, girlfriends, driving. You haven't done any of that.
Claire, no boys.
So when my kids do the tantrums, though, I do think of that word empty nester. We'll just be honest there.
I don't know. The word empty nester is it's just weird to me because I think of the word empty and there's nothing there. You think empty is nothing. And I think about where my husband and I are now, or Gary and I are now, and there's so much joy in this empty stage. There's just so much joy in what we're doing. There's so much joy in living through our girls or FaceTiming. You know, nowadays we FaceTime a lot because they live away from us. So we don't feel empty. We don't feel like we're missing anything. So again, empty nester is just kind of weird to me because I feel like our life is just so full living through them and what they're doing. You know, when your kids are little, you pray God's blessings on them and you pour into them that they will be strong, that they will be confident, that they will be obedient to God's word. You know, there's just so much you pray. And now Gary and I are looking at our girls like, wow, Lord, the fact that you helped us be so obedient in your word to raise them in such a way that we get to see it now. And so I think that's why I don't feel like we're empty nesters. But I will say there's so much joy in just being alone with your spouse. You know, all of a sudden you have dinner alone and the conversation is incredible. You know, you're not being interrupted by kids tugging at you, throwing food at you.
Yes.
I don't like this. I want that. I thought we were having macaroni. I thought we were having grilled cheese. I thought we were having Chick-fil-A.
We have a lot of wine with our dinners. It's a joke.
Wine.
You know,
W-H-I-N-E.
There's none of that. It's really interesting. And I have caught myself recently, like, I look forward to driving home from work and having dinner with my husband. We could be having something so simple, pizza, sandwiches, whatever, but I catch myself being so interested in him. And it's not that he never was interesting. It was that so much was interfering in who we were as a couple. You know, again, to have uninterrupted conversation where like I said, I drive home, I get excited. It's not about the food that we're going to eat, but it's about the company I'm going to have. I caught myself recently, I start to lean into him in that I want to hear what he has to say. I didn't know I missed that. And all of a sudden, I hunger for conversation with him. That's what I look forward to. And again, like I said, I'm so just captivated by him. And again, recently, I caught myself thinking, I have missed this for so many years, you know, because at first when you're newlyweds, it's just the two of you, and you're in the honeymoon stage, and he's perfect, but once you have kids and life starts to happen, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect either, but then all of a sudden here we are alone, empty nesters, and I'm just captivated by him. And I've caught myself more and more thinking, wow, Lord, how is it that you brought us together? And how is it that I missed so much time with him? And I had to ask God for forgiveness, because there are clearly parts of our marriage before this time where he wasn't my priority. Kids become, unfortunately, your priority, which is not scripture, which is not right. Your husband, as long as he is walking and being obedient to God's will, and he's aligning himself with the authority of God and the gifts and talents that God has blessed him with, I should trust my spouse. I should want to align myself under his will as he is following God. And I realized with the girls gone, I didn't do that all the time. I didn't. The girls were the priority. Their schedule was the priority. For years, my planner was an academic calendar because my life revolved around them. My calendar started in August when their calendar started. It did not start in January. And so, again, right now, I am relishing the moments alone with my husband in our empty house, in our clean house.
What's that like? What's that like?
Okay, there is something about having a clean house. But I will say, it's even better when he does his own laundry, and I don't have to. But, the fact that he can unload the dishwasher, and I don't even have to ask. We're catching each other doing things for each other, just so that we can enjoy each other's time. And it's just become a blessing upon blessing, and a little bit more and more just keeps on unrolling a little bit more. So even though I don't like the word empty nester, I like the stage that we're in. I am enjoying fellowship with him. I'm enjoying, eating off plates, not always paper products, because we can. I'm enjoying cooking, for him. So, again, I don't know what the proper word is. I don't know if this is our late years honeymoon phase. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But again, I don't feel empty.
Wow.
Right now. Our house is just us. But I feel like we're connecting more than we have in years. And again, I think it's a fallback on my part and probably his part for where are those priorities? Where should those priorities have been? That, again, life takes a toll. Life starts to spin. It's like that ugly snowball that starts and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Yep. But at some point, it's just the two of you. And, I'm enjoying this time. I'm enjoying getting to know who he is. He's grown so much. And so he's teaching me. And it's pretty exciting. Again, hey, let's not have children again, but, and let's not get a dog either. But to get to know your spouse at a higher level of maturity, especially spiritual maturity, it's pretty amazing and awesome. So
I just really what's standing out to me, and I don't know if I'm even going to say this right, but that empty nester can have such a negative connotation, but you're taking the exact opposite word of empty, and you said it several times. You kept saying full. I am full of joy. And so how can you change that negative empty nester and just feel that full of joy? Yeah. I mean, I just think that is just so sweet, and it's just really just making me grin so big just thinking about that joy.
Well, I hope it gives you hope.
There you go.
It gives you hope. Again, you guys have a little while before you go through that, elementary, middle school, high school, college. I remember the first time our oldest in pre-K, you go several weeks of walking them into the classroom, and all of a sudden they turn around and they say, "Stop. I can go by myself."
Yep.
And you want to lean in to kiss them goodbye. Yes. They're like, "No, you can't do that."
Yes.
So that's when it starts to that's probably really when, if you think about it, that's when you start to become an empty nester.
Oh, wow.
Because they start to say goodbye to you then. And it's not goodbye, but again, you're praying and trusting God to equip you to let them go one day. They are a gift to us from him. And so, I like that feeling that if you do your job well, you're giving something back to him. You're giving, again, I think about my girls right now, our girls right now, and where they are spiritually. My mind is blown because I know we had something to do with that. But I also know there was a point in their life when they had to choose to follow God. So at some point, Gary and I did something right in that we poured the right mixture in for them to say, yes, I want to follow him. Wow. So again, later in life, you're going to have all these blessings just roll, one right after the other.
That kind of reminds me of what you said earlier. You're living through the girls now. And that's like...
yeah.
Sometimes when you say I'm living vicariously through somebody else, that has maybe a negative connotation, but in this sense, it's very positive because you're seeing sort of the fruits of your labor. Yeah.
It's so fun. We've had a daughter who lived in Houston, St. Louis, Nashville, and now she's in Chicago. And each time we go see her, to see her in her work role, it's like, who is that? And, to hear them be so excited. Okay, when you're finished with church on Sunday, be sure you go visit, my church and see. And then we have Sunday night where we talk about their service. And it's just so much fun to hear them lead you, not to salvation or anything, but that the pieces that they're picking up of God. And again, it is so much fun to, go to their world, watch them work, do their thing, and to stand back and watch people interact with your children when they're older and be so thankful or grateful for what they do or, how they are, how they handle the situation or how they put together this big event. And it's just so much fun. It is so much fun to go in their world. And so I go to their world now and I make a mess in the bathroom and leave dirty laundry and make them redo the sheets because I left.
Payback.
Really about revenge.
Later, you can do things like that. But all those little things, our girls, when it was their birthday, I'd always like to have flowers in their room when they came home from school. And it's so fun because if I go to their house now, they do those little things.
Oh, that's cute.
We once took a cruise and my daughter got into the origami towel wrapping thing. So we went to visit her house once and she had done some towel things.
I'll come visit her.
So it's just fun, because they're learning about you as well. So it's a lot of fun. And just, again, have hope that the future is great, but also just relish and thank God for, wow. I'm amazed every day by the things that God reveals to me, not just in who I am, but at the place I'm in my life, where he's taken my husband and I, where he's taken the girls. It gives us peace to surrender them every day, knowing that they're with him. And if there is an emergency, that God's going to be there first. Yeah. I think that's, important as well.
Okay, so really fast before we wrap it up.
Okay.
Can you make 2 quick tips
This is Rebecca. She can't do anything
I know, I said
quickly.
quick. Did you notice I said quick like a couple times?
Yes.
For us young parents, give us 2 tips.
The mistake I would say that I learned from is don't stop dating your spouse. And it is so incredibly crucial that you make them a priority. Make them a priority. I think about the times where our girls were in bed at 7:30 or 8. Well, are you wasting that time after 8 o'clock, or are you doing something significant with your spouse? Whether it's helping them wash the dishes, helping them fold the laundry, do whatever you can to be specific and intentional with your spouse, where it's undivided attention, where it's incredible eye contact. That's another thing with my husband. As we've had dinner, I forgot how blue his eyes were because I've been so busy not looking at him. But I fell madly, deeply in love with just, oh my gosh, I remember, that's why I loved you, your eyes, but do those things. If all you're doing is dancing in the hallway and you're humming in her ear, do that. It's those things that are, just be intentional. The second thing I would say, and probably I should have said this first, God first. Yeah. God first, God first, God first. You as the male, the husband, the father in your house, lead your home well. And you as the wife, do what you can to make sure your husband is leading well. But it's got to be God first, because the one thing your kids will know is that they saw God in the home first. My mother once asked our youngest, what's the one thing you're going to miss most about your dad every day seeing him? And she said, he always read the Bible at night. She noticed that. And it's the things that we just do. We just think we're doing them. But later in life, you'll find out your kids paid attention to that. So God first. It's got to be God first. So.
Wow. Well, thank you, Rebecca, for coming and talking. That's a lot to chew on as in this stage of our lives. And
I love the joy, though. Like,
Yes.
you can just see the passion that you have for your family and your husband, and it's just something to look forward to, too. But it can start now.
It
Like,
can
your
start. It
tips
needs to start
were
now.
awesome.
Yeah,
it can
really
start
does.
now.
Yes.
So thanks for being here.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Yes. Thanks, Rebecca.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to 167. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you're listening from.
And to keep up with everything at Central Community Church, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And if you want to watch us record this podcast live, find us on YouTube.
We think the 167 hours between church services are so important, and we hope you'll share this episode with your friends. Join us next week.